Pigweed here. Today we review a dunkel and ask, are your electronic devices spying on you? Well. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, Pigweed. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Okay, so how about some beer and conversation?
Sure. What are we drinking?
Well, I think Matt Walsh ordered this beer for us. We're having Sam Adams Flannel Fest.
Okay, that sounds good. It does seem like it looks fall-y, and so does the beer.
Yeah, that's right. So what's on your mind?
Okie dokie. So I woke up one Tuesday morning a few weeks ago, and I was a part of a text thread.
Okay.
And the people in the text said, boy, that Jaden Daniels is something else. Yeah. And they all commented on this Jaden Daniels, and I had no idea what they were talking about. And so I safari'd my little phone. I typed in the letters J-A, and it came up Jaden Daniels.
Right. Okay.
So who happens to be the
quarterback of the Commanders, the Redskins, as any normal person would call them.
You're right. So this was Tuesday morning. I didn't stay up for the game or even know the game was on. So I was confused about the whole thing. But I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. Of all the J-A words in the
right, exactly.
It wouldn't be Jamaica,
James, or
Jazz Fest, Jar Jar Binks. I mean, no, it's some obscure rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
The only way that this thing could come up with that is if it's reading my text.
That's the only way.
That's the only thing I can imagine.
Well, I think maybe we need to drink this beer and then talk about that.
Okay,
all right, very good. So, Flannel Fest.
Flannel Fest.
Which I would not... I don't know why flannel is associated with a Munich-style dunkel.
Well, I was associated with fall.
Okay, that's fair.
And,
right.
And so is Oktoberfest, because it's a...
Very similar to an Oktoberfest beer.
I think so.
I was looking into the differences between them, and it seems like the only real practical difference is the dunkel is a little lower on the alcohol than an Oktoberfest.
It's a 5.2. You know, it's fairly mild, but it looks... It looks like an Oktoberfest,
yeah. And it should be malty like an Oktoberfest.
What do you think? Does it get malt? It's supposed to have some malty aromas.
Yeah, actually, there is a slightly different flavor going on there. It's a different kind of a malty flavor.
Yeah.
It's a little crisper or something?
Yeah.
What is that?
So, I don't know, but flavor seems to come in on the back end.
But it's not the kind of sweet malty flavor of an Oktoberfest. It's a slightly different kind of a malty flavor.
I would have guessed that since Oktoberfest is like an all-day drinking fest, that it would be the lighter of the two, but it's not. I think the dunkel is lighter.
The dunkel is lighter, and it's an interesting flavor there. That malty. I'm curious what malts they use to make that. That's pretty interesting.
Yes, and it's also a lager, not an ale. And so I guess it's got
delicious. I like it.
Does it?
Yeah, very nice. A little bit lighter than the Oktoberfest.
Reading it, I was the explanation didn't distinguish them.
I know exactly. Much. You read the Oktoberfest thing and you read the dunkel thing, and it's like, what's the difference? It's kind of hard to tell.
But I would say there is a difference.
There is a little bit. Yeah, there's a little bit of difference in the flavor.
Timer.
Oh yeah.
So you look at me with a little skepticism in my. What could be the other explanation?
Well, another explanation is whenever you start to type something into a search bar,
right,
then supposedly what the company that's doing the search is saying, what are other people searching for along those lines?
Right, and 5 million people were watching Monday Night Football, and none of them knew who this guy was, and he was lighting it up.
Right,
and so there must be tens of thousands of people all typing in, searching. All right. So that doesn't let him off the hook. But
right, that's another way to look at how this might be going
on. Right, it knows where you are, right? So if I'm looking for Joe's Diner, they don't start with California and tell me where Joe's Diner is, right? So they know. So there's all kinds of clues.
That's right. So your surveillance device knows a lot of things about you before you even start typing anything in at all.
And you like it. I don't need Joe's Diner from California.
Exactly. And that's the dual nature of this whole thing. Is people get spooked by some of these features. But at the same time, you love them.
You love them, and you don't even know that you love them because of that, right? It narrows things down for you.
Yeah, if I'm in a town and I want to find Joe's Diner, I want to know the Joe's Diner in that town, not the one in Germany.
Right, and it's saving you. You're having to type in, no, in Springfield, Ohio.
Right.
But it doesn't serve cats, by the way.
That's exactly right.
All right, so this is the first time this thing came up. This was many years ago. My brother and I were planning for a motorcycle trip to North Carolina.
Right.
And we're emailing back and forth.
Yeah.
Is that this? What about this route? Is that a good idea? What time of year? And I'm getting North Carolina ads.
Yes. Well, that's a different thing.
Son of a gun.
So, one level of the device surveilling you is by listening to your email, right? Like, for example, if you use Gmail, all that it's a quote free service, which means it's not free.
It means somebody's making money somewhere. How are they making money?
How are they making money? They're reading your emails and they're giving you ads that are relevant to the.
I mean, are they reading my email?
Of course they are. Yeah.
What if they say they're not? You don't believe them?
Well, I don't think they'd even claim that. I don't think they claim that.
I thought after I sort of came down from my paranoia, I said, well, it's very possible that since I'm making these plans, I've also searched campgrounds.
Yeah.
I've searched distances between cities so we can kind of plan what we're going to complete on day one and day two, and it's picking up on that. And I've forgotten about that, and I just immediately went to, it must be reading my email.
Well, of course it is. When I make reservations for a flight, and I get a confirmation email from Southwest saying that you're going to, it shows up in my calendar. So obviously they're reading my emails. I mean, there's sort of no way around that. But now the real question I think a lot of people have is it listening to what you're saying? Okay, so one level of spying is looking in my emails and doing things based on that.
Right. So before that, if it's just noticing my other searches and map quests and that kind of thing, it's like, well, that's me putting myself out there, and so all right, we're cool at that level.
Yeah.
But then there is the next level of reading my stuff, and you're saying, what about listening?
Yeah, so I think if you're using Gmail, it's definitely reading your emails. Now the question then is it listening? Now, of course it's listening, because if I were to, here's my surveillance device sitting right here, and if I say, okay, Google, it immediately jumps up and says, what is
there
it? There it is. It immediately jumps up and says, so it is listening all the time.
There's a guy at work who has the watch, and every once in a while, just in normal conversation, the watch will just chime in.
Right.
Because it thinks it's being summoned for something. I'm like, that's not cool.
Yeah. One thing that is particularly annoying to me about this OK Google thing is that when I visit my brother who has a Google Home device, that if he starts talking to his Google Home, my phone answers at the same time. Both devices are trying to answer. Now, years ago, I had a different type of an Android device where you could set what it is that you say to wake it up. So I changed mine so that I would say, okay, computer, and it would wake up.
So you don't have to do the...
But with a Pixel, which is a Google device, you have to use the magic word. Just like you have to say Alexa or you have to say Siri.
Now, can you change different voices? Can you have a Scottish bloke?
Well, that's in it talking to you.
Yeah. You can?
Yeah. So, like, for example, with ChatGPT or something, you can, when you talk to ChatGPT, you can decide what voice it's going to speak back to you in. Kind of like that movie we saw, Her. Which, by the way, guys, if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it.
And if I could choose Scarlett Johansson to talk to me every day,
that wouldn't be bad.
That would be my first choice. Thank you very much.
So, there's various levels of the thing spying on you. One, it's spying on you just by existing, like in terms of location.
Yes.
Where you are. It's spying on you based on what you enter in as a search. It's spying on you in your email if you use Gmail or something. If you use a different service, maybe not to the same extent. It's also listening to you. But then the question becomes, just because it's listening, does that mean it's like indexing and doing anything with that information?
Yes. Is it reporting you to the authorities when it is it
Like if we were to start talking,
your behavior.
Yeah, if we were to start talking about robbing a bank, would that information go to the cops? That's another one. Now, the thing is, it's not just this particular surveillance device that we need to talk about. There's a lot of other surveillance devices that do things like that. For example, a lot of doorbells nowadays have cameras attached to them.
Yep.
And those things are looking out at the street constantly, right? Now, supposedly, I was listening to this show by some guy named Mark at WFMU, which is a New Jersey, I think it's New Jersey station.
Okay.
And he was talking about a lot of these issues, and he said some of these companies that do these doorbell things make deals with the cops, where the cops can like get information from these cameras that are looking out onto the street.
Right. So there was a crime in your neighborhood, and they're looking for a white Ford Bronco.
Right.
And so they can just access everybody's camera in the neighborhood and see if that Bronco went by.
I guess.
It would be a very convenient tool.
That's what they do on the cop shows on TV. Now, whether it actually happens or not,
but it would be a very effective tool.
Yes.
But and I realize the resources of having to go around and ask every person in the neighborhood, can I have access to your camera?
Yeah.
As opposed to just, what's it hurting? The camera's not pointing inside the house,
we're
right?
only trying to get bad guys.
Right. I mean, it is a public street.
Yes.
So, it's not... Now, I also have one camera on the inside of my house. I don't need them accessing that one.
Yes.
But if they just accidentally, while they're there looking at the front door one, it's on the same account.
This is the same kind of problem we run into with all the other kinds of surveillance. It goes back to our show about who's the guy who was the Snowden and those guys.
Yeah.
That there's all this surveillance going on. They're collecting all this information, and there's kind of a line between at what point are you protecting national security or trying to solve crimes or what, and at what point are you just being a snoop and getting everybody's data?
Yeah. And you mentioned if we were talking about a movie that had a particularly fascinating bank robbery in it, and Alexa reports you to the cops, or we're talking about we're gun collectors and we're just talking guns all day long,
and then next day the cops are knocking on your door.
But what if there is a domestic violence incident?
Right.
In a home, Alexa picks up on it, calls the cops to come there, save the woman's life.
Yeah.
Well, Mister, I need so much security.
Right.
You just saved the life.
Thing, didn't you save somebody? Yeah. Well, that's the
problem, but that's
that is the problem. Yes, obviously they can do some good with these things. How about this one? How about supposedly one of the big tech companies is patenting this technology that can listen to your voice and determine if you're depressed or suicidal based on what it's... So how about that, where all of a sudden some, do-gooder...
social worker
shows up. Are you feeling okay?
Yeah, because you sounded a little...
You sounded a little down.
You sounded a little down when you're asking Alexa for a chicken soup recipe.
Yes, I mean, that's the sort of thing that we're dealing with. Now, I have to tell you about an experiment that I did. I know that the phone, obviously it has to be listening constantly because it has to wait for the keywords. But the question is it using that in any way? So I did this experiment for an entire week. I picked some product, and whenever my phone was around, I talked about that product.
Okay.
Over and over again. I would hold the phone close to me, and I would talk about that product, and I would say something about, I need this product, I would like to get this product.
Cat litter.
Yeah. Well, I don't remember what it was, but I would say it over and over for an entire week. I never got any ads for that product. So at that time, which was like maybe a year and a half ago, it wasn't listening to that extent. However, in the show I told you about, Mark at WFMU.org, he pointed out two articles. Well, here's this article. Here's the pitch deck for active listening ad targeting. This is from 404 Media. They reported that Cox Media Group was pitching this service where they explicitly say that, yes, they are listening to people's conversations and that they can serve ads based on the things that people are saying.
Well, I mean, isn't that the progression? It's we're not doing it. What do you care if we're doing it? Yes, we're doing it, and it's a good thing.
Yes, exactly. That's the way it works all the time. No, how dare you claim we're doing that? Well, okay, fine, we are doing it. Actually, it's a good thing.
And you're a bigot if you don't think
yes.
if you don't agree.
So this guy Mark pulled up this thing about Cox Media Group and this other company called MindSift. Both those companies claim
MindSift. It's a great name.
That they are doing precisely that. Now, if you ask Google, Apple, Facebook, they will deny it. Now, of course, those guys would never lie.
Yeah,
but they deny.
At least they explicitly say that they don't do that. But that doesn't mean that that's the case for all your other third party.
And it doesn't mean just because they say it doesn't mean that they're not. I'm sure there's some like Jesuit trick in the language that they're using to.
But it all well, go ahead. You want to finish your thought?
Yeah. So we have these two examples, Cox Media Group and MindSift, explicitly claiming that they are doing that, and we also have to remember that all these allegedly free services, they're not free. They're paying for them precisely by gathering market intelligence that they can use to sell to other companies.
And we have talked about doing a show on what is in the I agree to the terms of service.
Exactly.
So, so yes, you have agreed to allow your data to be sold.
Yes.
And aggregated.
Nobody reads those things.
Who in the world?
I know, there's 25 pages of stuff which you can hardly understand anyway, and you don't have time to read it. And so everybody just says, yes, I agree, and you go, exactly, yes, I agree, and you go on. Everybody does that. And I would say that that's something where we need some legislation, where they can say, you can only have like 3 different possible terms and conditions. It's version A, version B, version C, and everybody should know what's in those things. But anyway, that's not the way it is now. And who knows what you're agreeing to? And there's this thing called active listening, which says, yes, we can listen to what you're saying, and we can use that for this, that, and the other thing, which makes, in a lot of ways, it makes a whole lot of sense for these services to listen to what people are saying so that it can find out.
They're providing a service to you.
Yes.
They are. I mean, what do you want? There's 95 billion items out there for sale.
Yeah.
Do you want them randomly on your page,
No.
or do you want stuff that might be interesting
that are relevant to you? Or, for example,
yes.
how about this? I'm in my car. I crash, and I'm like, I need help.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be good for the phone to be able to call 911? There's this commercial where somebody is in a car accident and their phone says, I noticed that the thing is deployed.
Well, notice that your car's upside down.
Yes, and the airbag is deployed.
Yeah.
I'm calling 911.
Yeah,
that kind of thing.
OnStar kind of a thing.
That's all good stuff. But there's obviously a bad side to it, which is we have this stupid, naive idea that people are only going to use the information for nice things, which is clear. So there's the commercial side of it where they try to sell stuff to you, which is okay, fine. Everybody has to sell products. That doesn't bother me too much.
Right, and this is why it's free. You listen to the radio, you put up with the ads, so you don't have to pay for the radio.
Exactly.
Right,
so fine. You're going to try to sell me stuff. I get that. But there's another side to surveillance that's much more creepy, where somebody who works at the company that has all this information finds out that you're dating his girlfriend, and now that kind of thing, where people have access to this data, can do creepy bad things with it, and that's the other side of it that gets a little more disturbing.
Right. What if the mayor of the town can access all of the internet searches
Right.
of his potential rival?
Yes.
And says, how's your OnlyFans account going
That's
these
right.
days?
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. So there's creepy political angles to it. There's creepy law enforcement angles to it. I mean, what's the quote, the famous Russian quote? Find me the man and I'll show you the crime.
Yeah.
If they have everything that you've said, and we have
every purchase done.
Yeah, 10 billion laws on the books. Well, there's supposedly some book that makes the claim that everybody commits 3 felonies every day.
Okay, right.
You know, just by living your life, you know, you're committing 3 felonies. You don't even know it. It's just totally innocent. You're not doing anything horrible, but you have committed a felony. And if law enforcement has access to that kind of stuff, and they can now, you know, okay,
politically target people,
and then now they want to put some pressure on you. We want you to testify against this guy. Well, I'm not going to do that. Right. Wait a minute, we have all this evidence.
Well, you wouldn't want this to get out, now would you?
You wouldn't want your son to go to jail, would you? Because we have all this information about your son, right? That's the kind of thing that...
You know, that sounds like a conspiracy thing, which would be a great idea for a show.
We should think about that, yeah. But that kind of thing happens a lot. Supposedly, some of the guys who were caught up in the Trump administration were trapped precisely in that way, where they said, if you won't testify this way, your wife and your kid is going to go to jail.
Yes. Despicable.
Yeah, it is despicable.
So, but all right. So, did you listen to the Skeptoid issue on the? Are they selling or auto companies buying and selling your data?
Well, there were 2 of them. Right. The first one, he was skeptical of this whole "Are you listening to?" and I mostly agreed with him, but things that I've heard since, I'm not so sure I agree with.
So you're right. So. What was his example was, you travel to see your cousin who's big into antique cars, and then you start getting antique car ads thinking, kind of like my scenario with my brother. There is some
confirmation bias.
It's like, you know what? Yeah. Actually, it knows your cousin. It knows that you're friends on Facebook. It knows that you traveled there.
Yeah.
It knows that it's your friend's birthday, and maybe you would like to buy him something, and you know what I mean? So it already has all that information. He kind of convinced me on that one, but the other one
was
the car data stuff is just, of course, all of your driving is being tracked and aggregated and sold.
Yeah. So you're using an app so that you can find out what the traffic is like.
Yeah, just to know
I don't want to be stuck on this road. If there's another way, show me another way. But that thing is tracking how fast you're driving.
It has an accelerometer in your phone.
Yeah.
So
if you're the kind of person who speeds up really fast, slows down really fast.
Yes. All of this is collected and sold.
Yes.
And you, without getting into an accident, you might find your car rates skyrocketing because this gets sold to insurance companies.
Of course they do.
And then they say this guy is a risky driver, even though he hasn't wrecked yet.
That's their entire business is to figure out risk. They want to know.
Yes, risk assessment is all insurance
their
companies
business.
do.
So if they had a way to find out this guy drives like a maniac, they want to know that. And where are they going to get that from? They're going to get it from the app that you have on your surveillance device that you use for tracking where you're going.
What they call telematics. Right. They collect data, aggregate it, and define you what there's like a 1 to 10 scale. The safety score from 1 to 10. Yes. And Arity is one of the companies. There's LexisNexis, Versic, and Arity, owned by Allstate. Yeah, we look at a driver's performance behind the wheel, including how often they brake suddenly, speed, or use their phones.
While they're driving?
Whoa! Yes, we score these behaviors using our highly predictive drive site, registered, risk score, and we group individuals into 10 different risk categories.
And then they change your rates based on what you...
your rate based on spying on you, and you haven't done anything. You haven't wrecked or done anything.
Right.
But, there's a lot of...
Well, this reminds me of my idea of crowdsourcing traffic control. Did I tell you about this one? So a lot of people drive like jerks, and everybody around them can see that they're driving like jerks. So wouldn't it be nice if you're driving down the road and somebody drives by and they're driving like a jerk, you could just look at their car and say -1. And that would ding that guy's driving social credit score by one.
Right.
So that basically you'd be crowdsourcing traffic control so that people who are driving like jerks would get penalized for it.
I know WhatsApp. I mean, there are ways to report an accident.
Yeah.
And sometimes the phone will ask you, has the accident been cleared up?
I know,
yet?
I see that all the time.
That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
But that's you actively participating in it. What about just looking on your route on the way home and you see the reds and the blues, the reds, the yellows, and the greens, based on what?
Apparently, it's tracking everybody's speed. That's
am I willingly participating in this? Are all of us participating in this?
Yeah, I think that when you use Google Maps or something like that, and it shows you the
terms and conditions, I've agreed.
It has to be tracking how fast people are going in those different places.
Yeah.
To say this place is slower than normal.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's super convenient, and so we all say that's a good thing. But does it mean that you are being tracked?
Yeah. And this is a huge undiscussed problem.
Yes.
We
brave new territory here.
All this data is being shared. All this data is being manipulated, used for sales, used for insurance rates, used for all this kind of stuff. And there hasn't been any real honest public discussion about it. About where's the line? How far is too far? What's an appropriate amount of use of this data? Should people have to give consent? All that other kind of stuff.
Right, and they'll say, well, it was right there in the terms.
Exactly.
Terms, right? They say you did give consent.
I know, the pretend consent we give when we say, yes, I agree to the terms and conditions, which is BS consent. That's not consent.
It's just I'm busy right now.
I know. I
just want to download the app.
I need to download this app because my boss wants me to do this. I don't have time to read the stupid terms and conditions. Yes. So we all carry around these surveillance devices in our pockets.
Yep.
Then we have baby monitors. We have Ring doorbells. We have Google Home or Alexa or whatever it is. All these other things.
What if? And I recommend if you're going to commit a serious crime to leave your phone at home.
Please don't commit a serious crime.
But then it's determined. Not having your phone is suspicious behavior.
Yes.
Or I know there was a time when... See, there used to be a time when you could cross the Bay Bridge and choose between paying cash and using the smart device.
Now you got to use the thing.
Right, and even then, it had already started that it was considered suspicious behavior to pay with cash.
Yes.
Well, then they just got rid of the cash altogether. So
right.
Now
or how about walking around in public with a mask on so that they can't do facial recognition on you? Will that be considered like that's suspicious because you don't want to be tracked?
No, because then you're opposing the whole
Sharia law.
The whole COVID lockdown thing. Like I'm still on. Are you saying that it's safe now? We're not saying that. You're saying the whole thing was a scam. The masking. Oh no. We're not saying that. CDC was right of the whole time.
What if there's some technology? Just imagine a technology, something you could wear on your shirt collar or something like that, that would do something.
Yeah,
like
face masking.
It would put light on your face in a certain way that foiled facial recognition.
It would. Right? It would be deemed.
It would probably be deemed illegal.
Yes, quickly.
Yeah, because
it's a threat to public safety or something.
Right, because they can't monitor you when you're walking into the airport or into the whatever. It's kind of like those things that people put on their license plates.
But when did we decide that everybody is allowed to be facial recognized?
I know, exactly. Why is that? Why? Now, there has been for a long time this expectation in the law that when you're in public, you have no expectation of privacy. Right. I'm not sure
I can do this.
I'm not sure.
All I'm doing is electronically doing this. So you can do this all day long if you want, while you're in public, and to not have your. Oh no! You must allow your face to be scanned.
Yeah.
Wait, we're talking about a different thing. Yes, you don't have a right to privacy in public, but I have
But
a
I'm
right
not even
to
sure.
cover myself.
I'm not even sure I buy that. I know it's been the assumption for a long time that you have no right to privacy in public, but I'm not sure I agree with that. If I'm out walking the dog or something, that doesn't mean that I want everybody to be able to watch everything that I'm doing.
Yeah, I don't know. You'd have a tough one with that.
Probably, yeah. So, and this is an untapped, litigated area that we're all giving up all this data. We're being spied on. All this information is going out into who knows where to be done with who knows what.
And so the initial question, yes, your devices are spying on you.
Yes,
now, to what? I mean, to
now what are you gonna do about
what
it?
Degree? Yeah, what are you going to do about it? How detrimental is it? What are the potential downsides for it? I don't think we've answered all of those, but yes, you are being spied on. You done here? You want to give you a quick man of the week?
Oh, sure. Yeah, let's have a man of the week.
Okay, our man of the week is. We have the four universities have refused to participate in a volleyball game against San Diego State.
Exactly.
Because there's a gigantic dude on the other side.
Right.
So this, and just as a side note here, I also have a Hillsborough High School team in New Hampshire that refused to play against another team whose star player, again, is a dude. Now, we mentioned some time back, look, it's not going to be, heterosexual white guys cannot fight this battle for you. Mm-hmm. And we've also learned that courts aren't going to help you. Mm-hmm. Administrations aren't going to help you. The government isn't going to help you. Ladies, I can't think of any other thing that you can do except for draw attention to it by just refusing to participate.
Yeah.
Am I right?
And it's a shame because they're doing this sport because they love it, because they want to compete, they want to be involved in these activities. Yeah. But for their own safety and for the fairness of the sport that they love. Yeah. They say, no, I don't want to compete against a team that has a guy on it. That's why we have male and female sports, for heaven's sakes. There's a reason why, like even something totally, it's not a question of hurting anybody, even something like running or swimming, you have male sports and you have female sports. And there's a reason for that. Yeah. And the idea that...
Pool leagues.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not talking about who's the fastest and strongest.
Yeah.
They're still divided between men and women.
Right.
I remember Ted Cruz just saying, "Why do we have a deposition?"
Right.
So why do we have men and women's sports? And just this woman just danced and danced and danced.
Right. And didn't have any way of answering the question.
I mean, there's only one answer.
It's obvious. Because men and women have different abilities in different sports.
Dummy!
Yeah, it's just
so
ridiculous.
Anyway, good for you, Utah State, who refuses to play San Jose State and a bunch of other schools, and this high school team doesn't want to play against their star dude player.
Yeah.
Keep it up. I mean, like you said, I think that's all you got.
It's the only way. It's the only way to do it. Is to not participate.
All right, to not participating.
Cheers. Thanks so much for listening to Beer and Conversation with Pigweed and Crowhill. Remember to visit us at pigweedandcrowhill.com or send us an email at pigweedshow@gmail.com.